We got Bethesda developers Dinga from Arkane Studios and Andreas from Machinegames to see what they could get up to when playing each other's games, what kind of insight they can offer into their development, and most importantly, for a bit of fun. First up is Dinga, lead designer on Dishonored 2 and game director at Arkane Studios. He'll be playing Wolfenstein 2 with a creator of the game right next to him to answer all of his questions. If you fancy jumping straight to Dishonored, then skip ahead to the time shown on screen. Don't worry, we won't judge you.
So the wheelchair. So recently, a friend of mine started playing this game a few months ago in preparation for Youngblood, of course. And he loved it, first of all. And the thing he said to me was, when the wheelchair sequence started, he was like, oh, come on, you're making me start the game in a wheelchair. And then he had a lot of fun. He said, so your Swedish colleagues, like, are they crazy? How did they make a wheelchair sequence in a shooter work, being fun and responsive and,
Right.
and...
Well, two things. First, the idea of BJ being in a wheelchair was something that our game director, Gustavsson, had wanted to do for a long time. So before we even had any story written for the game, he knew that he wanted to put BJ in a wheelchair and make that interesting. And then, of course, this is part of what we strive towards as a game studio. This first-person experience that should feel as great as possible. So we have one team just dedicated to not to the wheelchair, but to the overall first-person experience. The team we call the Through the Gun team.
Yes.
So they deal with all the movement, all the animations related to movement, all the weapons, using all the weapons, everything like that.
So speaking about the Through the Gun team, I spoke with Jacob a while back, and something crazy is the fact that I have been playing with that through the intro, but all the controls are responsive, whatever the state. Like, I was, as a kid, in the closet earlier, and I tried just to, see if he was just bullshitting me. But indeed, going forward, left, right had a different effect than leaning, and it's the same case here. I can lean, I can, all the player features work the same. See, I have the auto lean when I'm close to. This is crazy, and I think that's really important. It makes me feel like the game is, again, respecting my agency, even though I'm in a completely different state.
Well, it's one of the most important things to us at Machinegames, the first-person experience, and making sure that it's top-notch and the best we possibly can make it, and hopefully even better than that, So we spend so much of our energy on making sure that being in the world, moving in the world, and fighting in the world is something that's as great as we can make it. You're a big stealth player, I see.
If you call that stealth.
It's Wolfenstein stealth.
So how would you label the special brand of stealth in the Wolf games?
It's not non-lethal. And it's not about avoiding the enemy. A lot of stealth games are about avoiding enemies.
Sure.
And our stealth is about taking out enemies without them noticing you, basically. So it's still about violence, even though it's stealth.
I mean, to be fair, non-lethal playthrough with Nazis, that doesn't sound enticing to me.
No, they need to die.
Hey there. Again, same thing here. I can lean left, right. Even though it does nothing, it has no tactical or it has no advantage, but the simple fact that I can do it, again, it's
it wouldn't feel good if it wasn't there, right?
Exactly.
That's
I think,
motive enough to build it for us.
Honestly, that's the attention to detail. I mean, we, of course, at Arkane, we spend a lot of effort, and we really try hard to make you feel like you're inside, in the body of your character and not just a flying camera. But I think you guys are masters at it.
Well, our studios have slightly different focuses, and this is a big part of our focus. So we choose to put a lot of effort and a big part of our production into it. How do you think about leading the player to the level? Because you also can't make one option the most obvious, I guess, because you want the player to feel like they have, they understand the choices they have in how to progress?
That's a very vast question, actually. So
I
just
know.
a few tricks. One is that when we approach what we call a sandbox area, which is an area with what you say, like many solutions, we try to give the player a tactical overview. It can be because he arrives from above, it can be, he arrives from somewhere very safe, or enemies are... Basically, whatever first overview the player has on the sandbox is very important, because immediately he needs to know immediately, oh, this route looks like it's faster but much more dangerous. This route looks like it's slower but safer.
This is something we tried quite a bit doing in Wolf 2, in that you should have the option to stealth through the scenario, or go in guns blazing, or try a more tactical approach, right? So the type of level design we usually do often doesn't give you that that overview that you kind of need to understand all your options. So that was something that was really difficult for us to do, and something I think we have done much better in Youngblood, thanks to your guys' involvement.
I mean, I think people will reckon when they play Youngblood, if they have played New Colossus, how the level design went up a notch. And it's not just the levels we helped designing; it's also the levels we haven't even touched. So
yeah, sure. No, we learned a ton of you guys when it comes to the type of level design we needed to build. I think Youngblood is pretty interesting because I think it's a game that you guys couldn't have built and we couldn't have built.
No.
It's only possible because of kind of fusing the DNA of the two studios.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Now that we've seen Dinga wheelchair his way through a horde of Nazis, let's move on to Dishonored 2 and see how Machinegames senior game designer is getting on.
So I'm gonna play as Emily here, as I haven't played her before.
Good choice, good choice.
Comparing this game to Dishonored 1, like when you build levels for all of Corvo's powers, that's difficult in itself, making sure the levels work and are fun and interesting.
Yeah.
But now we have two characters with very different powers. How do you do that? How do you build that?
I mean, you say Corvo and Emily's ability sets, but you can also play the game without powers. Like you can actually tell the outsiders, no, I don't want your powers, and play the whole game as a squishy human being.
So when you build one area of a level, do you have like a checkbox list of going through, it needs to work with this power and then you need to work like this? Or?
No, we tend to build them organically. So how we make our levels is actually a joint effort between what we call level artists or level architects and level designers. And we have both visions, growing at the same time. The artistic vision, how it should look, what is this space? So it's not just like I would say, generic video game space. It needs to feel like some place people actually live in. The sense of place is paramount for us. But also it needs to be fun. It needs to be, pleasant to navigate and support different play styles, as you mentioned. So that's. Yeah.
Where on earth is the key? There has to be a key. The door is locked, right?
There is a key. It's just not in this office.
Is that true?
But there is a key indeed. The funny part about this is, so we open this window, so you might be tempted to go out the window. This is important because it's basically a way to say to the player, it's not on rails in a sense. It's not something where we will always. Where you always have to stay on the ground or follow a path. But at the same time, we didn't make it easy for you because you cannot exit through here. So basically that's why this window was open, to say you can go out windows.
Yeah.
But this window is closed. Well, open it, you solve the puzzle. It's basically exactly that, like giving you the giving you some of the game's rules from the start. Well, it's a real place. You can open the window, get out. It's not, I would say, the less it feels like a video game level, the better for our guys.
Shit. It's not easy to do this while talking.
No.
But I'll just carry this guy. No one's gonna notice that anything happened here, right? Oh
well,
good, the blood faded away. That helps.
with his friends. I think you also have an arm and a head to find now, because he's missing them. So.
Well, will they discover that?
I mean, yes.
Oh, I
yes.
can carry that.
Yes, if they see the severed body parts, like that was actually a fun choice. Like we could always like despawn the head but it's also a way to
add extra cost to going
crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's fun, but it has, consequences, and you have to go the extra effort to hide the body. And if you got a clean kill, then it's just one. So I like it. It's not like discouraging you to sever people's head, but it's also a fun little consequence.
Yeah. I'm going to eat all the fruit, by the way. All the fruit.
As you should.
So one thing I really love about the Dishonored games is I'm not a great stealth player because I don't have the patience to look at patrol patterns, analyze patrol patterns, and just wait for it. But in the Dishonored games, there are usually ways around it. Now, I'm not playing very cleverly because I'm talking to you here, but there are usually other ways around it. You can get up on a rooftop, or you can climb through a window and pass through an apartment.
The way we introduce those choices in our games is it's not always just about how you deal with this situation, this problem, but also which problems do I want to bother with. There is some problems you can just avoid completely.
Yeah.
And yes, you will miss out on some rewards, sometimes on some lore tidbits, but that's your choice. I mean, that's your game, you bought it. If you want to deal with the guards in the former room, which you choose to avoid, well, that's your choice. If you wanted to kill him, put him to sleep, you also could.
But as far as I understand, there's also no wrong way to play one of your games.
No, that's definitely something we want to. We care a lot about. That there is no right way to play, and the right way to play is the one that is the more fun for you and the more exciting. So, for instance, in Youngblood, something I really like is that because it's since it's a multiplayer game. You have to roll with your mistakes. You cannot just save load out of...
No saves coming,
Yeah, which is my favorite way to play the Dishonored games, to be fair. I prefer to improvise every time I do something wrong. And if it means fleeing like a chicken, well, I will do that because that's my story, and that was the most relevant choice for me at that moment. Here goes Mortimer Ramsey.
Good night.
So this is funny. See those big, huge ingots?
Yeah.
Because in the story there is this element that Ramsey, if you let him survive, he will, talk about this gold that is enough to buy an island and everything. So it had to be there. It had to be there, right? If it's not there, it doesn't make sense. But if we also put like a ton of ingots that you could take, or have the affordance that you could take it would be frustrating. I want them. So what we did, after a lot of different things, like some people just said, let's make a wall of ingots. Well, but then I want to pick every single one of them, right? Make them huge. I cannot carry that. I don't have superpowers yet.
But
anyway.
I can guarantee you that you have received several bugs over the production of this game saying, I can't pick up the gold. Isn't that true?
Until it was that big.
Okay, then it was okay.
Just because it is that big, now we unask the question, which is something we talked about when we were playing Wolfenstein. We have this philosophy at Arkane that is, besides not fucking the player, also saying yes to the player whenever we can, whenever it's fun. And it's a case where we cannot say yes to the player. Take all the gold of Emily's, safe reserve to the game. Like we couldn't say yes to that. So, and ask the question: have the gold be so huge that it has the affordance that you cannot bring it with you?
So normally when I play a game like this, I spend a lot of time in the environments. When I play like the Dishonored games and also Prey, I spend a lot of time in the environments, just trying to understand what was going on here, reading everything that can be read, basically.
Yeah, this is extremely important again for us, that those places, like this safe place, for instance, it's more or less of a safe escape route for the Empress, but also we like to think that Emily comes here to retire, and it's her secret place. There is her doll from when she was a kid, and if you look at here, there is the golden cat with a drawing, which is interesting. That's the place where she was held captive in the first game. There is the White Tower here on the map, and
that's her drawing, right?
Yeah, that's her drawing, and that's the Hound's Pub, the
Low Chaos.
The Hound's Pit Pub, which is the place which is the hub of the first Dishonored. And she was like actually living in that tower on the top.
Yeah, and this is the Low Chaos version, because there were two different versions as well of the drawing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same with this is a way to say to the player, and same with the drawing of Corvo on the left. It's the Low Chaos one. It's basically a way of saying. This is the canon.
Okay. Okay. There's fruit here, and I must eat it.
Yeah. So yes, this kind of attention to detail is really important for us. It's like a lot of time spent, but we just like things to make sense.
Yeah.
Toilets, also very important.
Ever since Duke Nukem 3D, right? You must be able to flush the toilets.
Extremely important.
If you enjoyed this video, then why not check out some Youngblood co-op with its developer, or watch a Noob, Novice and Pro take on Youngblood.